for our Patreon community. This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work. In recent days, once again, as has happened now for many months, the United States government has been attacking the Chinese corporation Huawei. It is a giant corporation based in the People's Republic of China that is mostly engaged in advanced electronics, smartphones and all of that, and is particularly adept at what is called 5G technology, the most advanced form of this kind of telecommunications technology. The United States has sought the arrest in Canada of a high executive who's also related to the founder of the company. It has pressured allies around the world, most recently the United Kingdom, to refuse to do business with Huawei Corporation. And it has used the argument that the Huawei Corporation has unspecified, quote-unquote, links to the Chinese government, and that therefore anybody who does business with Huawei is subject to and will be subject to spying, espionage, and so on, directed for the Chinese government. This is an important kind of shift in American policy. It is, of course, ironic that a Republican should be in the lead using the government to interfere in the private economy, picking winners and losers, helping this corporation, hurting that corporation. It used to be a staple of Republican ideology that the government is best when it governs least, and it should never interfere in the economy, etc., etc. The thinness of that ideology is nowhere more obvious than in what the GOP and Mr. Trump are doing now. But the attack on Huawei is interesting only because it marks yet another step in the movement of the United States away from a commitment to more or less free trade and toward a commitment of open, overt protectionism for the U.S. companies, or to be more accurate, for the companies that can get the U.S. government to help them wherever they are actually based, versus the companies that can't. It is a clever, not original way for Mr. Trump and the politicians around him to try to make themselves the object of a bidding war. Companies that stand to gain from free trade are desperate that he does something to hurt the investments they've made in free trade, so they will donate. Companies who don't like free trade and want to encourage a shift to protectionism, they will donate too. And that's best for Mr. Trump, which is what guides him. But here's the absurdity. Number one, if you want to beat the Huawei Corporation, if you want your allies not to do business with the Huawei Corporation, you have to ask yourself, well, why are they doing it in the first place? And the answer is crystal clear. Huawei is more advanced technologically than any competitor, and certainly any American competitor. Maybe hard to hear, but that's the way it is. And so all these governments around the world, including, by the way, many local regional governments here in the United States, use Huawei equipment because for the price, it's the best you can get. So if the United States were serious about competing with the attractiveness of Huawei, here's another way to do it, which is more in line with the ideology of capitalism. Develop a better technology, or at least an equivalent one for a lower price. Used to call that, competition. That might be the way. But apparently the American economy isn't up to the task, can't compete. And so if you can't compete, next step is to protect.